Knock on the Saints door. Quarterback sneak by Tom Brady to the 43-year-old score. He did. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Now spike that ball, Tom Brady. Who says I'm 43? He runs right up the gut and scores 6. 7. Handoff, run the ball. Fournette slashes away to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 30, 25, to the 20. Fournette to the 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Run the ball, Leonard Fournette. Wow, what a blast up the gut, found daylight, and outran everybody. Fire the cannons, get them going. Bucs win. Bucs win, Bucs win. Fire them cannons.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Swords Up podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our 45-20 win in Week 7 against the Las Vegas Raiders. Quite a game this was for the Buccaneers. It was another dominant performance from them. And today we're going to be looking at the stats and the key players from this one, as well as giving the keys to why we won this game. But starting off as always with the injury report, and a pretty important one is Chris Godwin yet again has suffered an injury. He suffered a broken finger during this game, and apparently he sustained the injury on the touchdown pass that he caught in the second half. So he's expected to get surgery on that broken finger, and he'll miss next week's game against the Giants, and his status for Sunday Night Football's Week 9 game against the Saints is in doubt currently. Other than that, no really major injuries on either side. All right, looking at the stats now on the Buccaneers side of things, Tom Brady had another excellent game, was really sharp out there, and it just seems like with this Buccaneers team, he's been revitalized, and he's really become his old self again. And another day in which he balled out was this game against the Raiders. He completed 33 of 45 passes for 369 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions once again. Our leading rusher on the ground was Leonard Fournette, 11 carries for 50 yards, averaging 4.5 per carry. And then Ronald Jones had 13 carries for 34 yards, and he also had a touchdown. And then Tom Brady had 1 rushing attempt, and that went for a touchdown. And that was that QB sneak in the first quarter that gave us our first touchdown of the game on our second drive of the game. Our leading receiver in this one was Scotty Miller, continuing his really impressive season so far. He had 6 catches for 109 yards and 1 touchdown. Chris Godwin had an excellent game as well, 9 catches for 88 yards and 1 touchdown, but like I said, he's going to be out next week with that broken finger, so it shouldn't be much of a big loss considering how well Scotty Miller is playing and how limited Mike Evans has been so far in the offense. But yeah, look out for Mike Evans and Scotty Miller next week. And then if he does miss the Week 9 game against the Saints, Antonio Brown may have a decent role in that one, but we'll just have to wait and see. Rob Gronkowski also had an excellent game again this week, continuing his form from last week. He had 5 catches for 62 and 1 touchdown. Leonard Fournette receiving had 6 catches for 47 yards. Like I said, Mike Evans was pretty limited, 2 catches for 37. And then also Tyler Johnson had 2 catches for 4 yards, but had 1 touchdown. And that was our 6th touchdown of the game, the 4th passing touchdown from Tom Brady. Now, before we get into the rest of the defensive stats, I'm going to be highlighting our key player of the game this week. And obviously, as I've alluded to, it's going to be on the defensive side. And I would hate to do the same player 2 weeks in a row, but with the way this guy's been playing so far, it's just been crazy to see. And I think we absolutely, without question, have the best middle linebacker duo in the NFL right now. And considering how well he's been playing, it's really amazing to see, considering also how Lavonte David has been kind of a sleeper pick for a Defensive Player of the Year. But Devin White deserves also a lot of credit too. And so I'm going to be highlighting him as our player of the game for the second week in a row. And he balled out again this week and probably played even better than he did last week. And he had 11 total tackles in this one, 1 for a loss, also 3 sacks and 1 forced fumble. He pretty much took control of this game for us on the defensive side, was dominant once again. And when I could have highlighted Jamel Dean last week as our player of the game on the defensive side, it's without question this week it was Devin White. But looking at the rest of the defensive stats, Lavonte David had 8 total tackles, so he was the second leading tackler in this one behind Devin White. Shaq Barrett had 6 total tackles and 1 for a loss. Also, Steve McClendon recorded his first tackle for a loss as Buccaneer. He looked pretty good in his debut. And then Antoine Winfield recorded an interception, which was the only one in this game. Also had a pass defended, as well as Shaq Barrett, Carlton Davis, and Mike Edwards, each with a pass defended. And Mike Edwards had an interception in this game, but it was called back due to a penalty. As well as an Ndamukong Suh forced fumble and score for a touchdown, which was also called back for a penalty. But yeah, just two great defensive plays that were called back. But nonetheless, a really dominant performance from our defense. Even though they did look a little shaky in the first half, they recovered very nicely. Now looking at the Raiders side of things, Derek Carr was coming into this game really hot, and the Raiders were coming off of a bye. But 2 weeks ago, they took on the Kansas City Chiefs, and Derek Carr outplayed Patrick Mahomes. And coming into this one, you expected him to continue his form, and he was okay. Nothing really great, but wasn't too terrible. He had 24 completions on 36 attempts, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, which was pretty late in the game. So obviously when you're trying to make something happen, you just got to force those in there, and that's kind of what happened on the interception. Derek Carr kind of forced a throw into one of his receivers, and then the ball ended up being tipped up, and Antoine Winfield was able to make the play and get the interception. On the ground, nothing doing in this one at all whatsoever. Jalen Richard, their third down back, was their leading rusher, 7 carries for 24 yards, and their main back, Josh Jacobs, only had 10 carries for 17 yards. Leading receiver in this one was Nelson Aguilar, who's actually been a pretty good acquisition for them this year. I know he's taken a lot of hate from his time on the Eagles, but he's been pretty decent for them this year, and he had 5 catches for 107 yards and 1 touchdown this one. Darren Waller, who I highlighted in the preview video as the Raiders key player, played pretty well as well. 6 catches for 50 yards and 1 touchdown. And then Hunter Renfrow was the third leading receiver, 4 catches for 42 yards. Defensively, Trayvon Mullen, their corner, was their leading tackler with 8 tackles, followed by Eric Harris with 7 total tackles. And he also had a forced fumble in the first half on Rob Gronkowski, but the Buccaneers were able to recover that. And then Corey Littleton, their middle linebacker, their free agent acquisition from the Rams this offseason, had 5 solo tackles, but 8 in total, and he also had a tackle for a loss. LaMarcus Joyner, who's kind of their nickelback and can also play safety like he did on the Rams, he had 5 total tackles, 2 for a loss, and then Cleveland Farrell had 3 tackles and then 1 for a loss. Also having tackles for a loss in this one were Nicholas Morrow, Carl Nassib, the former Buccaneer, and then Max Crosby. Now looking at just the keys of why we won this game. On offense, we played another really efficient game. We had 6 total touchdowns in this one, 2 on the ground and 4 through the air. It's just our receivers. They just look really good, and it's just the miscommunication that we had earlier in the season seems to have gone away. And then, like I said in the preview video, last week we found our winning formula, and we pretty much stuck to it. Although our passing attack also looked really impressive in this one, but our primary focus was to keep it on the ground, and we did decently with that with Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. But then when we also had to put it in the air, Tom Brady made some incredible throws and was really great again today. Also, even though our defense really started off a bit shaky, they really did pick it up in the second half, kind of like how it went in the Chargers game, where that game kind of turned into a shootout. The defense definitely picked it up in the second half, even though they were struggling in the first half. And they really did close out the game after we had the touchdown to Chris Godwin. They were able to get the ball back for us with a quick turnover, and then the Tyler Johnson touchdown, which definitely put the game away. So that's about it for this week's matchup. Let me know what you thought about the game in the comments below. Definitely enjoying another Buccaneers win, and they're getting hot right now, and you could definitely make an argument for them to be one of the best teams right now in the NFC. And with these last 2 wins that they've had, just the way they've played and the efficiency on offense, the domination on defense, look out for the Buccaneers. I think they're proving to be a real contender, and they're going to be a force against anyone they play the rest of this season. But that is it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and go Bucs.